Hi there, this is Love Johar. Thank you so much for tuning into this channel and thank you so much for watching this video. Today we will discuss about a very important question that a lot of people have been asking me, and it has come up in a lot of different ways every now and then whenever we talk about risk assessment and audit. What is the difference between risk assessment and audit when we talk about ISO 27001? What is the main difference between these two things? Some of the features of risk assessment and audit are a little bit identical. That's why a lot of people get confused when they think about risk assessment, when they think about audit. So how should we differentiate between risk assessment and audit? What is the difference? So let me start by giving you an understanding about it. So risk assessment is nothing but it is an activity to identify and characterize the inherent and residual risks within your given system, which you have, the security management system within your organization that you have maintained. So risk assessment is nothing but an activity to identify and characterize the residual risks that you have, and in order to identify the risks within your current information security management system within your organization. Okay, so this risk assessment exercise, when most of the time is conducted by someone internal to the organization, so it somehow appears to be very theoretical and hands off exercise. So you might have a couple of meetings or sessions, and you involve a lot of staff members, a lot of managers, security managers, and you discuss about the risks that your organization is facing currently and what are the controls that you have. You might have risk managers also, you might have different stakeholders. You discuss the risks. You have a theoretical approach. You try to understand the risks, you try to list them down. This is how risk assessment takes place within an organization on a generic basis. However, when I talk about audit, the audit planning and preparation also involves a part of risk assessment in a given system. Okay, so in this case, what is the differentiating factor is the auditors go on to check and validate your controls. And the auditors actually understand what controls you have in place. Whatever you have in scope that you have covered for your ISMS, they will actually go there. They will actually try to validate that, and they will actually try to determine the residual risks, and they will also try to understand and determine whether you have successfully and sufficiently mitigated the residual risks or not, or what are you planning about those residual risks that you have marked down in your risk register. So the audit of when it happens with the external auditors within the organization is actually a very hands-on process. They will try to understand all the controls that you have, they will try to understand all the risks that you have noted down, and they'll go actually in depth. And um, as I said, risk assessments in on a generic basis is within an organization happens by the users and managers of the ISMS, whereas audits are actually conducted by independent auditors. So auditor independence is very important in this, because auditors are not reporting to your business managers. They are they do not have to make sure that someone is managing them within your organization. And so that's why they audit in an independent way, with an independence of mind and the ability to think outside of the box. Whereas if you have people involved within your organization who are actually working with those processes on a day to day manner, and so that is entirely different approach. Because if you see somebody who's actually working with that particular process might not be able to find the flaws in that. However, if you take another person with actual fresh eyes, you might see a different perspective or different security flaws within a particular process or a function. So this is how it differs between an audit and between a risk assessment. So you know the auditors might also ask you some different types of questions, like why have you implemented this control against this risk. So these things typically would not come up under a internal risk assessment process. And the auditors are also happy to identify other opportunities and areas of improvement apart from your current risks that you have identified in your risk assessment or risk register that you have maintained. So again, this is how it differentiates between having an audit point of view and getting a risk assessment done on an internal basis. And I would believe that audits are arguably the best way to find out any type of blind spots and weaknesses within your risk assessment or risk treatment. You should go for audits. And you can have compliance audits in order to make sure that you comply with certain regulatory and legislative obligations, in order to make sure that you actually comply with those compliances. You have to make sure that you have a proper compliance audit these days. And this is how basically it differs between a risk assessment and a auditing approach. In a nutshell, I can tell you that risk assessment is basically reporting the risks within your organization from an internal point of view. And if I talk about auditing, it's an external perspective on what you are, doing within your organization. What are the current processes that you're going? What are the flaws, security flaws? What are the loopholes? Taking a look from a fresh eyes would be something from an audit perspective. So this is how I would differentiate between risk assessment and the audit. So if you have any questions further into what is the difference between risk assessment or an audit, please feel free to comment below, and I will be more than happy to respond back. So this is Love Johar. If you have any questions, as I said, please feel free to comment below. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel already, please feel free to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye.